Okay, so let's talk more about the conference. And as you just mentioned, what should we expect from the African Private Sector Summit in this virtual mode? Give us more tidbits, sir.
What is it all of us want collectively for Africa?
Yeah.
What is it, in essence, the heads of states have taken courage to give, using the political will, to sign off on the AFTA? What is AFTA all about? In context, it is about entry, free entry, free movement of Africans across the continent. In context, it is about residency, the right to residency in any part of Africa. In context, it is about your right to establish business anywhere in Africa. Legal business, let me qualify it. Okay? So if these rights exist, all right,
yeah,
why then do we have bottlenecks of visas and other restrictive conditions, okay,
yeah,
at national levels that impair these rights? So these are things that are practical. These are things that the African people are all concerned about, all right?
yeah.
They have had exposure traveling to other continents, the United States, for example, the European Union concept, for example, and they see these things working in these countries. Why can't we have the same thing work in Africa for the good of the continent, for the good of the people? You know, so in context, these are the three principal reasons that AFTA came to play: to unify the continent, both in terms of, in the long run, in terms of a common continent, and for now, unifying us in terms of trade integration with these basic rights.
Thank you very much, Mr. Wendell. In the issue of unification, Africa has actually had quite a hard time. And I think even AFTA has a little bit of push out there in terms of understanding the people of Africa, understanding what is in it for them with AFTA. They are not seeing some sort of implementation going on. The action part of AFTA, we're not seeing, but we heard about it's in vision, about the start. How then do you want people to believe that this summit is then purposed to kick the whole AFTA operation to work? And how does the African, him or herself, in play in this? Is the summit supposed to push things to happen, or perhaps to give us more education of AFTA and our role in it?
First they look at AFTA, how you've come up with AFTA, and the question then is, how do you expect it to work when you have challenges? What are some of the basic challenges? Someone sending a clip as a support to what we're trying to do. And basically in that clip, you have grassroots people asking what we may consider elementary questions, but they're very substantive questions.
Yeah.
How do you do business in the absence of rule of law? These are the questions to impose by this particular person, all right? And they did a very, it's a crude tape, but basically what they're asking question or stating, they're making statements rather, saying, I cannot do business in that country because there's an absence of rule of law. I cannot do business in that country because there is civil unrest in that country. Yes. I cannot do business in this other country simply because the government is not business friendly. I cannot do business because there are challenges crossing the borders. Okay, I cannot transport my goods from point A to point B because of insecurity, because of bad rules. These are the basic fundamental issue that must be addressed for AFTA to succeed. Anything absent what I've just said, okay, what these people are saying, okay, uh, would impair the success of AFTA. We have to look at these things holistically and see how they can be addressed. You know, let's look at the text or the context of good governance.
Yeah.
That's all it boils down to.
Sure.
All right. Good governance is a reflection of what? Development.
Mm-hmm.
Good governance is a reflection of what? I like to state it, of security.
Mm-hmm.
The other, generally people will call it security of the state. But if the people are empowered, they have every reason to protect whatever they have.
Yeah.
And so you will not be influenced by a few. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, that's what it is. So good governance is a reflection of development. Good governance is a reflection of empowerment. Good governance is a reflection of good policies,
mm-hmm.
okay, for the people, for the country. All right.
Yeah.
Good government is good hospitals, good roads. Good governance is transforming the resources of the country to the greater interest of the people.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. And so if you look at a number of countries, there are a few African countries that you can look at today. There's no perfect situation, but you can say, all right, for example, you can look at what's happening in the Botswana.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You can look at what's happening in the Mauritius. All
Yeah.
right.
Sure.
You can look at some of the things, transformation that's taken place in Ghana. You can look at some of the transformation taking place in Rwanda.
Yeah.
All right. These are they're not perfect, but these are semblance of development. These are semblance of transformation. These are semblance of people-oriented governance.
Mm.
All right. And so I think that if we can embrace and support, if we can embrace and support, let me qualify that. If we can recognize
Mm-hmm.
AFTA as the corridor for change,
Mm-hmm.
the corridor for the Africa we want,
Mm-hmm.
all right?
Mm-hmm.
People are saying we should say the Africa we need.
Yeah. Okay.
Then let us come together collectively, get academia involved as the first step to get them to provide the skill sets needed for the transformation of the raw materials of the continent, to build the human skill power needed, okay, provide the services, provide the support services. All of these things comes as a package,
Mm-hmm.
okay? So phase one is looking at academia and private sector working together,
Okay.
all right? And phase two would then, let's co-op the public sector, all right?
Yeah.
In adopting some of the programs and policies being coming out of the private sector, okay,
Yeah.
for next step that would be incorporated in the overall policy agenda for development. I think this is key.
Great.
I think this is key.
So most importantly, we look forward to have this summit make a difference in how we do business in Africa. And we want to use AFTA as there's the vessel that we can ride with. Who are the kind of people that you wish should really make time to participate in this summit to help us really achieve the goal that we want to achieve?
Well, those, we like to use exemplars. People by reference of example of what they have accomplished in the country. All right, and let us see how we can capitalize on such in terms of referencing these people, okay, of these countries, and saying, look, this is what Botswana has done. This is what Mauritius has done. This is what Ghana is doing. This is what any of the countries that are making progress, that have a people-oriented governance program, private sector governance program. All right.
Yeah.
Look at these as examples and say, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Okay. Look at these as examples and say, what can we learn from this country?
Okay.
I was talking to someone in Mauritius, and he said to me, President Kagame visited Mauritius,
okay,
to get a first-hand understanding of how they were able to accomplish what they have accomplished. And he set out to compete with them to be number one, because I understand Mauritius is rated as number one on the continent.
okay,
This is the kind of competition we would like to see among our leaders. All right. This is the kind of competition for development that will transform the continent.
yeah,
Right now everyone is, you as a private person trying to produce something. Okay.
yeah,
How do you get it to the market? What's Africa's homegrown approach for many of the bottlenecks that exist? How do we address our currency issue? How do we address our educational system to
yeah,
become functional and provide the skill sets needed for the continent? These people, the young people, hold the key to the security of the state.
okay,
And so policies must be evolved around them to ensure that they are empowered, all right, to make meaningful contribution to the economy of the state and the economies of the continent. In my view, I would like to appreciate a recent step taken by the Nigerian government when they invested, I think, $240 million in the artisanal mining sector.
okay.
All right. That sector alone has the potential to generate thousands and thousands of jobs. Yeah, it has to be a partnership between government and the private sector to address the unemployment situation with respect to the youth in particular. Um, I think there are activities that they can be engaged in, but again, it has to involve academia, uh, stroke TVETs in structuring a program so that you have a continuing education while simultaneously having maybe short-term agriculture, mining, uh, programs that are taking place, particularly in the rural areas of the country. Um, but it has to be an engaging relationship between the private sector and the politicians, so that you recognize that there's a vital stakeholder issue that must be addressed, and that is the youth. They represent security of the state.
Yeah.
Okay, they represent security of the state, and in order to have peace and security, you have to empower them. If you take it from that perspective, all right, then the commitment comes into play to find solutions to have them engaged and empowered for the safety of the country and for the development of the country.
All right. So thank you very much, Mr. Wendell Addy, for your great time with us on all about the African Private Sector Virtual Summit this year. And as chairman, you would want to give us some remarks. What should we expect? And also what difference is the summit going to make? So you can give us your closing remarks now.
The assignment comes into play in light of the collaboration between academia and the private sector.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. So the ultimate outcome is that you will find that the universities, TVETs will now be tailoring the curriculum based on what's needed for the continent.
Mm-hmm.
All right? It is very important. This is not something that's going to happen overnight, but that is part of the process. We expect to have create a competition amongst the universities across the continent. That would be the law schools and the business schools at the various universities to come up with a draft bill of rights for an enabling business environment. Again, draft bill of rights for an enabling business environment. This is the key pathway to the success of AFTA. If we can get every country to adopt a bill of rights for an enabling business environment, bingo, AFTA would survive, AFTA would serve as the corridor for the transformation of the continent, because that is the pathway. The enabling environment is the pathway for business growth, expansion, and economic contribution to any country. Okay, so these are certain things that we expect to happen. We expect that in time, the universities, okay, will be able to tailor curriculums specific to the needs of the continent. All right, particularly in the area of trade policies at the national level, the regional level, and the continental level, and beyond. Now you have the WTO. So these are critical things that we expect to happen. I think the motto of the current president of the African Business Council says, it is about people, it is about policy, it is about products. I close on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. J. Wendell Addy, chairman of the African Private Sector Summit. And rather would re-emphasize on what you just said, that AFTA is all about the people, products, and the policy. So the people being in tune, products being quality, and also policies being available to protect the rights of every player as far as AFTA is concerned. So thank you very much, sir, for your time. And we wish to see you in action on the 8th of March to 11th as we see the African Private Sector Summit happening live virtually. Have everybody join in. And also, as you mentioned, your key stakeholders, private sector, government, higher education, everyone in the circles must be really involved to ensure that we transform the African continent. We create curricula that's tailored to transform the African continent, what we need, and also the Bill of Rights to also ensure that everyone who participates in AFTA is protected and secured. Thank you very much, sir, for your time, and we'll really connect with you next time on AAU TV.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, and have a nice day.